never tell you this. And the billion-dollar supplement industry is quietly hoping you never find out. Because what I'm about to share with you doesn't cost $49.99 a bottle. It doesn't require a prescription. It doesn't need a trip to a specialty health store. It's one single clove, something that costs less than 10 cents, that may already be sitting in your kitchen cabinet right now. And when you combine it with your morning cup of coffee in a very specific way, something remarkable begins to happen inside your body within the first 10 minutes. I'm Dr. Sarah Ellison, and I've spent over a decade as a practicing cardiologist working with patients over the age of 60. Every single day, I sit across from men and women who are doing everything they think is right, taking their medications, watching their diet, getting some exercise, and yet they still wake up every morning with brain fog, stiff joints, unpredictable blood sugar, and a fatigue that just won't lift no matter how much sleep they get. And today, I want to show you how something as simple as one clove in your morning coffee can begin to work against that inflammation starting from the very first cup. So let me ask you something, and I want you to be honest with yourself as I go through this list. Do you wake up in the morning and your brain just doesn't feel sharp? Like there's a fog sitting behind your eyes that doesn't fully lift until late morning, sometimes noon? Do you eat a meal, even a sensible, reasonable meal, and within an hour you feel bloated, heavy, uncomfortable? Do you notice that after certain meals, your energy crashes? That shaky, tired, almost irritable feeling that tells you your blood sugar just swung hard in the wrong direction? What about your joints? Do your knees ache when you first get out of bed? Do your fingers feel stiff and swollen in the morning, even before you've done anything strenuous? And then there's the fatigue, not the tiredness that comes from a bad night of sleep, the kind that is there even after 8 hours, the kind that makes you wonder if something is wrong. If you recognized yourself in even one of those, and I suspect most of you recognized several, I need you to understand something important. These are not just signs of getting older. Every single symptom I just described is a known marker of chronic systemic inflammation and oxidative stress. Your body is telling you something at the cellular level. And your morning coffee, the one you've been drinking for decades, may be the single easiest place to start fixing it, but only if you do it correctly. And that is exactly what I'm going to show you today. Let's talk about the science, because this is where it gets genuinely fascinating and where most people are leaving enormous health value on the table every single morning. Most people think of coffee as caffeine. That's it. Caffeine for energy, caffeine to wake up, caffeine to get going. But coffee is actually one of the most polyphenol-rich beverages in the entire American diet. And the most important of those polyphenols is a compound called chlorogenic acid. Now, chlorogenic acid is not a supplement. It's not something you buy separately. It's naturally present in every cup of properly brewed coffee. And what does it do? Chlorogenic acid is a powerful antioxidant that protects your liver from oxidative damage, slows the absorption of glucose in your gut, which means it helps stabilize blood sugar after meals and reduces inflammatory signaling throughout the body. As a cardiologist, I pay particular attention to that last one because inflammation in the arterial walls is one of the primary drivers of cardiovascular disease. Chlorogenic acid works quietly against that process every single morning. Now let's talk about clove. Clove contains a compound called eugenol, and here is something that most people simply don't know. Clove is the richest natural source of eugenol on the planet. Nothing else comes close. Not cinnamon, not nutmeg, not any other spice in your cabinet. And eugenol is a natural anti-inflammatory agent that in several published studies has demonstrated an effect comparable to, and in some cases stronger than, ibuprofen, without the gastrointestinal side effects, without the risks to your kidneys that long-term NSAID use carries. And for my patients over 60 who are already managing multiple medications, that distinction matters enormously. But here is the part that makes this combination truly special. When chlorogenic acid and eugenol are consumed together, They don't simply add their benefits side by side, they amplify each other. Scientists call this phenomenon food synergy, where two compounds in combination produce an effect that is significantly greater than either one produces alone. Think of it as a multiplier, not an addition. 1 plus 1 does not equal 2 here. It equals 10, and you can capture that multiplier effect every single morning for less than 10 cents. Now, as a cardiologist, I want to take a moment to explain why this matters so specifically for people over 60. As we age, our body's natural production of antioxidants, the internal defense system against oxidative stress, begins to decline. This is not speculation. This is well-documented physiology, which means that every external source of antioxidants you consume becomes proportionally more important as you get older. You are fighting the same battle with a smaller army. So when you waste the antioxidants in your coffee, and I'll show you exactly how most people waste them, the cost isn't the same as it is for a 30-year-old. The cost is much higher. Your body simply has fewer backup resources to compensate. And this brings me to something I need to be very direct with you about, because this part is uncomfortable, but it's important. Most people are unknowingly destroying their coffee every single morning, and they are doing it with things they were told were fine or even healthy. Let me walk you through the most common ways this happens. Sugar. If you add sugar to your coffee, even just a teaspoon or two, you are triggering an insulin response that actively works against the blood sugar stabilization that chlorogenic acid is trying to provide. You are essentially pushing the gas and the brake at the same time. Beyond that, sugar promotes the very inflammatory cascade that eugenol is working to reduce. You are fighting your own medicine. Milk and cream. I know this one surprises people. Dairy feels natural in coffee. But here is the problem. Dairy contains a protein called casein, and casein binds to polyphenols in the gut and blocks their absorption. When casein attaches to chlorogenic acid, your body cannot absorb it properly. It passes through largely unused. You are drinking the coffee, but your body is not receiving the benefit. And for someone over 60 whose antioxidant reserves are already lower, this is not a small loss. Instant coffee. The high heat processing that produces instant coffee destroys a significant portion of the polyphenols before the coffee ever reaches your cup. You are starting at a deficit before you even add anything to it. And then there are the specialty coffee drinks, the lattes, the flavored syrups, the whipped cream, the caramel drizzles. I understand why people love them, but what you are consuming is not coffee from a health perspective. You are consuming a dessert that has coffee somewhere in its ingredient list. The antioxidant benefit is buried under layers of sugar, processed dairy, and artificial flavoring. Here is what I tell my patients. You are taking one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory beverages available to you, and you are neutralizing it before it can do a single thing for your body. And for people over 60 whose bodies are already working harder to manage inflammation, blood sugar, and oxidative stress, this habit has real consequences that show up over time. Now, I want to be very clear about something. The way you add clove to your coffee matters enormously. I have had patients tell me they tried this and felt nothing. And every single time, when I asked them how they did it, they made one of the mistakes I'm going to tell you about in just a moment. But first, let me give you the correct method. The primary method, decoction, and this is the one I recommend. Step 1, take 3 whole cloves, not ground clove powder, not clove oil, whole dried cloves from the spice aisle of your grocery store. When you're buying them, look for cloves that are dark brown, plump, and have a strong, sharp aroma. If they smell faint or dusty, they're old and the eugenol content will be low. Fresh cloves should have a smell that is almost medicinal, intense, and slightly warm. Step 2, place your 3 cloves in a small saucepan with 10 ounces of water, roughly 1¼ cups. Bring the water to a boil, then immediately reduce the heat to low and let it simmer gently for 5 minutes. Set a timer. 5 minutes. Not 3, not 10. 5. Step 3. Remove from heat and strain the liquid, discarding the cloves. What you now have is clove-infused water that is loaded with bioavailable eugenol. Step 4. Use this clove water as the water in your coffee preparation, whether that's a French press, a drip machine, a pour-over, or a pod machine. The clove water becomes the base of your coffee. Step 5. Drink it slowly on an empty stomach as the first thing you consume in the morning. This timing matters. When you drink it before food, absorption is significantly higher because there are no competing compounds in the gut. The quick method for busy mornings. If you genuinely don't have 5 minutes for the decoction method, here is a simplified version. Take 1 whole clove, place it on your countertop, and crush it firmly with the flat side of a large knife, just enough to crack it open and expose the inside. Drop the crushed clove into your brewed black coffee and let it sit and steep for 3 full minutes before drinking. This method delivers roughly 60 to 70% of the benefit of the full decoction. It is not as powerful, but it is dramatically better than not doing it at all. One additional note on storage. Keep your whole cloves in an airtight glass jar, away from heat and light, a dark cabinet, not the shelf above your stove. Proper storage can preserve eugenol potency for up to a year. Heat and light degrade it faster than time does. Now, there are 3 mistakes, and please listen carefully here because these are the exact reasons why some people try this and feel nothing, and then conclude that it doesn't work, when the real problem was the method. Mistake number 1, dropping a whole, uncrushed clove directly into brewed coffee. This is by far the most common mistake, and it produces virtually zero benefit. Clove is an extremely hard, dense spice. The eugenol is locked inside the cellular structure of the clove itself. Without heat, without crushing, or without both, the eugenol simply cannot be released into the liquid in any meaningful quantity. You will get a mild aroma. You will essentially none of the anti-inflammatory, blood sugar stabilizing, or cardiovascular benefit. The spice needs to be opened up, either by simmering in water or by physical crushing, before it can give you anything. Mistake number 2, boiling the cloves for longer than 5 to 7 minutes. This surprises people because we tend to assume that more cooking means more extraction. But eugenol is heat sensitive. At a gentle simmer for 5 minutes, it releases beautifully into the water. Prolonged boiling at high heat begins to break down the eugenol molecule itself, reducing both its concentration and its biological activity. More is not better here. Stick to the 5-minute window. If you forget and let it go for 8 or 10 minutes, the water is still usable. It's not ruined, but you have lost a meaningful portion of the benefit. Mistake number 3, adding milk, cream, or sugar to the finished drink. I know I addressed this earlier, but I want to reinforce it here in the context of the protocol because it is the most common way people undermine their own results. Adding dairy casein after all of that careful preparation binds to the polyphenols and significantly reduces their absorption. Sugar reintroduces the insulin disruption that chlorogenic acid is working against. You have gone through the effort of preparing this correctly, and then in the last 10 seconds, you have canceled 50 to 70% of its effect. If you find black coffee genuinely difficult to drink, add a small amount of coconut oil. It does not interfere with polyphenol absorption. Or a pinch of cinnamon, which actually adds its own mild blood sugar benefit on top of what you already created. Now, as a physician, I would never give you a recommendation like this without being transparent about who should approach it with caution. If you are currently taking blood thinners, warfarin, Coumadin, Eliquis, or high-dose daily aspirin, please speak with your doctor before adding clove to your daily routine. Eugenol has a mild, natural anticoagulant effect, and in combination with blood-thinning medications, that effect could be amplified in ways that require monitoring. This is not a reason to panic. It is a reason to have a conversation with your physician. If you have active gastritis, a peptic ulcer, or severe acid reflux, coffee itself may already be aggravating your condition. Adding clove will not fix that underlying issue, and in some cases, the combination may increase gastric irritation. Please address the underlying condition first. And as a general principle, one I say to every patient who asks me about adding something new to their morning routine: if you are on any heart medications, any diabetes medications, or any medications that affect your liver, have a brief conversation with your doctor before you begin. Not because this combination is dangerous for most people, it isn't, but because informed decisions are always better decisions. Your doctor should know what you are doing, and this conversation gives them the opportunity to help you do it safely. For the vast majority of people watching this, if you are generally healthy, managing well, and simply looking for a smarter way to start your morning, this is one of the safest, most accessible, and most evidence-supported additions you can make to your daily routine. So start tomorrow morning, not next week, tomorrow, because the version of yourself that feels clearer, lighter, less inflamed, and more energized is not some distant goal. It is 10 minutes away. It is 1 cup away. And if you have a parent, a neighbor, a sibling, or a friend over 60 who drinks coffee every morning and who wakes up stiff, tired, foggy, or uncomfortable, please share this video with them today. It may be the most useful thing you do for someone you love this week. I'm Dr. Sarah Ellison, and I'll see you in the next video.